I disagree wholeheartedly with Paul Malignaggi. I do not want to see a rematch of Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn, and I have three solid reasons why. The first reason is I feel that both men gave so much of themselves in those 12 rounds. They gave us 12 rounds of hard action. There were both times when likely both men probably almost felt like quitting, and yet they dug deep and found what it took to carry on. Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn had to, as we say, bite down on their gum shield or mouthpiece more than once to simply just keep throwing back punches at their opponent. I mean, at a certain point, both of their defensive skills kind of got thrown by the wayside. So it just became a matter of trying to throw out hard punches with a lot of vehemence. Now, that intangible aspect of the fight is the reason that we were so captivated by it. That, as we say, energy that fighters exude when you're there in the live as a live audience, you can actually feel that willingness to keep going to the well and keep digging deep and coming forth with determination. That's a palpable sensation. And in this case, it transcended the live audience, and we could even feel that watching on our big screen or little screen. But as much as we enjoyed that fight for that reason, that both fighters had to dig really deep, and they did, it's not likely that they could meet or surpass that in a rematch. That's the reason, that's what we would want to see, but I don't know that could happen because those 12 rounds, I think we'll all agree, those 12 rounds were really taxing, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. So that's going to take something out of both Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. And furthermore, apparently Chris Eubank Jr. broke his jaw or got his jaw broken by Conor Benn. So that means he's going to be out for a while from even working out while his jaw mends. So that also just puts a huge time delay. But my point is really the amount of damage or the amount both men endured physically. That takes something away from the fighter. It's not just a matter of rest and recover. It literally takes something out of a fighter when they endure a war like that. The second reason I don't want to see a rematch of Eubanks Benn is because this was not a high skill level fight. As I'd mentioned before, I would deem both fighters at about C minus level, if I'm being generous. And that's not to take away from them. That's just where they're at in terms of their development as a professional boxer. But that said, if they were, say, A-plus level skillful fighters, like somebody like a Vasily Lomachenko or a Floyd Mayweather, perhaps I would want to see a rematch to see how each fighter would adapt for the rematch. But in this case, you're at a CC minus level as a pro fighter. You don't really have the skill set to pull something or add on to your repertoire to make a big difference in a rematch. Neither Conor nor Chris are comfortable or confident fighting on the inside. They both just rely on a couple big punches. Conor Benn relies on that big, huge overhand right, but he didn't set it up properly and he didn't follow through. Let's say, for example, with a left body shot or left hook to the head. Eubank is known for his uppercuts. He did manage to land some of those, and he did actually feel he used his jab effectively enough to win that fight. But this is just, basic level boxing. There's not layers of subtlety here, which is what would be needed in order to shift the fight if there were to be a rematch. Now, the third and final, and I think the biggest reason why I don't want to see a rematch is because these two fighters are in different weight divisions. Conor Benn said, yeah, I want to move up to 160, but I'm sure he would actually only weighed 154 when he got on the scale. He probably drank some water or whatever to gain a poundish to be 155 and a half. But he and his team did not do what they needed to do to move up to 160. So I don't want to watch a junior middleweight fight a middleweight. That doesn't make sense. So yeah, I was shocked that was the case in this first matchup. I did think that Benn would gain the weight responsibly to actually move up to 160. But seeing as he He didn't even do it this time. I don't want to see a rematch between somebody who's a middleweight and somebody who's a junior middleweight. So once again, I'm in a disagreement with Paul Malignaggi. I have a great deal of respect for Paulie as a fighter, as a commentator, and as a human being. But in this particular point, no, Paulie, I don't want to see the rematch. Let's forget about it.